FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 11-game slate here on FanDuel, talking hitters. And even with some of the top price options, I mean, you're not extremely cash strapped. I mean, we talk about a lot of mid-range guys that we kind of like more than the top priced options.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's some reasonable pay down options, and that opens up a lot of things in terms of salary construction. So there's a lot of ways to get weird. Eh?
Look at a catcher here. As far as top price options go, I mean, you and I are both kind of in agreement that Wilson Ramos, Luke Roy are intriguing kind of GPP options. For cash, I mean, even and for all formats, I think Vogt and McCann are kind of my two just kind of price considered. They're right around that 2,900 mark that leaves you with an average if you were to plug in a Scherzer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's who I'm looking at. So, and they're pretty reasonably priced. So, yeah, I'm in on that. Salvador Perez, if he's in the lineup, 2,500. I'm in on that too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, Perez, I mean, was hot before he got injured. Coming back, I mean, he's over his last 10, but it's not anything that I'm too concerned about, especially at 2,500 against Tillman. I think that's a reasonable matchup in that ballpark. McCann and Vogt, I mean, great ballparks. You got Yankee Stadium and Miller Park there. Weaver completely home run prone to lefties, so you got to like McCann in that spot. And overall, I think Perez is kind of about as far down as I'm going to dive unless somehow someone's hitting in the top 6 below, but I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. Some nights there are decent just pure punts, but 2,500, all right, deal.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at first base, and it's a completely different ball game tonight. You don't like a lot of these options. I mean, Ortiz 4,200 against Bumgarner is tough. Chris Davis, an interesting GPP guy just because he has that home run upside. But then also you got these Indians bats who aren't the values that they are over on DK. They don't even make me really kind of consider using them as much just because of price considered.
Definitely. And then this was one of your main guys you talked about on the DK pod, but Matt Adams against Simon. I mean, sign everyone up. I don't even need everyone's permission. We're signing everyone up. This is not an option.
Yeah, kids, don't get your parents to sign the permission slip. We're going on that field trip anyway. We're going.
Yeah, we don't even tell your parents, honestly. We're just going.
Yeah, I mean, 3,400, not a bad price tag. I mean, around other guys that aren't really in the best spots. And I think, once again, I mean, he's probably going to be a pretty heavily owned option. I don't mind Pujols, even though he's pretty tough on right-handers. He's been hitting the ball well. And I think GPP-wise, Pujols is kind of an interesting swerve.
Definitely. And then you go down to Prince Fielder. Wah, wah, wah. I just wanted to do that. Yeah, you don't really like a lot of these options, which is super weird for first base. But yeah, kind of looking at those few that we mentioned, and I mean that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, maybe you can look at Justin Bour at 2,900 in GPPs. Just because Nolasco hasn't been good against lefties over the past couple of seasons. 370 WOBA allowed, 1.23 runs per 9. And these Marlins bats aren't that expensive on both sides tonight, really. So I think they are kind of intriguing one-offs. And, you know, if you need to save, I mean, there is a decent difference of 500 between him and Adams, but Adams is kind of a clear-cut favorite. Bour would just kind of be a spin-down option.
Definitely. Yeah, no. Decent spin-down, but again – you just don't like a lot of these matchups.
Yeah, I don't either. It's tough. I mean, Jason against Syndergaard, Hanley,
Abreu against Scherzer, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of really hard to like here. So I'm with you. I think kind of spinning down Adams is just kind of that clear-cut top guy. And even if higher ownership or format considered, he's just a guy who I'll just plug in a ton.
Right.
Look at second base here. Once again, I mean, it's the similar names up top, and Daniel Murphy not as high of a price tag in comparison. It's not going to kill your lineup if you go with him. And we were talking about kind of attacking James Shields, and for me, it's more so in tournaments. I think Murphy's a fine play either way. Price considered, I think there are some lower guys that I like maybe a little bit more in cash.
Yeah, it doesn't kill you, but still relatively expensive, especially to not do a full national stack, just to have him as a standalone. That's pretty darn expensive. So, um, uh, there are more options down here. Obviously, Profar, 31. That's not too bad of a price, but I think there are some options down low.
Yeah, I agree. And Profar's that name, 3,100. I'm going to keep plugging him in at second base. Even Odor at the
Mhm.
same price. I mean, tournament wise, you can lean Odor a little bit, maybe more. Ownership's probably going to still be there with Profar. Um, but at those two with those price point, it kind of takes guys like Kipnis out of play, Dozier out of play. For me, even a Cano who's 3,500 and starting to slip against Carrasco.
Yeah, Starlin Castro 2,600 as well, but those are the three I'm looking at really.
Yeah, Gastro's another one. So I think that's it's kind of a finely tuned night as far as what direction you're going to have. There's 3 or 4 options at these infield spots that you feel good about, and then
hmm
outside of that, it's kind of knowing you're really on the fence. It's kind of just stayaways.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of indicative of a strong pitching night. So, I mean, at least we have that. I'm pretty excited about some of the pitching tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and because those values are there, it makes it easier to kind of construct a lineup.
hmm
So, Dietrich, another name to target against Alaska. I think you can look at some of these Miami guys. Hard to come off Profar in that situation, so I think stating he's kind of my favorite second base option.
Yeah.
So, third base here, Matt Carpenter, 4K. That's not a daunting price tag on FanDuel
Mm-mm.
here. Then that's one that I'm looking to kind of lock in as I block in my pitcher, and then I'm locking in my Matt Carpenter and building around that.
This just has the feel of a cash night, huh?
It feels good. I feel comfortable. I'm
Yeah.
snuggled up inside with my cash game plays. I feel good about it.
Snuggle up with the Cardinals, snuggle up with one of those top pitchers, and I think you can just lull yourself to sleep and win in cash. So yeah, I think Carpenter and Adams are really strong plays. And they're not killing you on salary either. So that'd be the direction I would go in cash for third. But if you want to pay down, I mean, Justin Turner's 2,700 in a decent matchup. Obviously, you don't like the lefty on lefty, but that's something to look at. Is Hernan imply 2,300? Can we do it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't need to steep that low. I like Turner. I mean, yeah, he's been a reverse splits guy for his career, but Rustin's been bad, and I think that's certainly in play. And we were talking about A-Rod. I mean, 3,200 for him against Weaver, who's really home run prone, is kind of
Mm-hmm.
um, worth a shot because I'm looking. I don't like Frazier tonight. I don't like Seager. I don't mind Rendon and GPPs. Arenado, I might have a share or two of just because the price isn't that bad, and Maeda's not unhittable. So I think you can kind of look at Arenado, who's been the better guy away from Coors.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Um, yeah, you just mentioned those, and I don't even want, you know what? I don't even want to like these matchups. I just want to stick with my guys. Normally, I'm the hedge guy that I just like to hedge off everything. This is contrarian. I like this, blah, blah, blah. And even on DraftKings, I kind of did that, but it just seems like, I don't know, everything seems pretty straightforward here. It kind of the pricing and all that.
yeah, it does. And Carpenter was obviously the clear cut number one, but he's also the clear cut priced up number one. Here, it's a little different because you do have Frazier, who's just 200 less. It's easy to take that out of play.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think that's the play you make is you go Carpenter and then you kind of look down low if you need to an A-Rod to a Turner. I don't feel awful about that.
Prado.
Yeah,
Prado, yeah.
Prado.
Yeah.
Yeah, another Miami bat. So I'm with you. I think that is a spot that's a little bit different than DK.
Mhm.
Shortstop here, you have your Manny Machado at 4K. We were joking around on the DK pod. I mean, possible suspensions coming for some of these guys after last night's affairs. But as we mentioned before, I mean, Bautista and Odor played 2 seasons before they got suspended.
Yeah,
So
and Batista was like hitting home runs and stuff before his suspension. So I don't think that's necessarily a reason to fade, but it is something to keep in mind for sure.
yeah, definitely. And I don't think this is a spot that I'm really inclined to pay up at. I think, Leonidas Diaz at 3,400 is certainly intriguing. Um, I just like him quite a bit. And, it's hard to get away from at that price tag.
It really is. It's like all these prices are like a bug zapper, and we're like, oh, I can't look away. I just have to go to the Cardinals. I think he's a great value. I mean, looking deeper, Gregorio Pettit still 2,600, but he's got a tough matchup tonight. So while he has been a superstar of late, I don't think we can expect the world of him tonight. It's a punt, but not probably the quality of the last few days for him.
No, and speaking of Cardinals value, Johnny Peralta is $2,000. And I'm hoping
Yeah.
people miss him because at first glance, I never even saw that. It just was like Diaz, okay, plug in that Cardinals shortstop. But Peralta at 2K, I'm curious to see that ownership tonight. It should be pretty high. I think people will catch on. But that's a guy, a guy hitting in the middle of that lineup, a guy who's going to face Alfredo Simon. That's an absolute steal.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So
Definitely. Again, Cardinals, baby. I'm pretty much all in on that tonight. I don't see how you can't be.
Alfredo Simon's. I'm just kidding. He's bad. This ballpark is friendly. This bullpen's bad. It's another perfect kind of storm for a lot of these Cardinals guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think you do lock in Peralta. It's kind of hard not to in any format, regardless of how chalky he's going to be. It just saves you some cash, and you're getting a great play.
And Villar in play as well if you want to pay up. That's kind of a guy to look at there.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of like some of these Brewers bats, and Villar out of that range. Great ballpark, has big upside. Kind of like him a little bit more than Lindor and Bogarts in the West Coast games against above average pitching, and same with Correa. I'm not looking to target him against Darvish.
No, definitely not. That's kind of a strange price.
Yeah, it is. And you look at some of these Astros bats. As much as they struggled at times this year, they never really have dropped on FanDuel. They've always kind of remained relatively high priced.
Yeah.
So, looking at the outfield here, and this is a spot a lot of these kind of top guys. Obviously Trumbo at 4,100 is not a bad idea anymore.
Yeah,
just with how well he's playing, it's not a crazy price tag, but guy's on fire. And one, I think the ownership's still going to be there. I'm probably going to kind of hedge off of him a bit tonight.
See, my problem is I hedged off him the other night, and that was a terrible idea. And then I hedged off him last night too, and that's a terrible idea. So are we just hedging to hedge at this point because we don't think he can sustain this? Or is it like, I don't know. It's something I've been trying to figure out personally. This is a personal matter for me. Because he's still a solid play,
Oh, for sure. And I think you can kind of look, DraftKings, he was priced over $5K, and you had $2,000 differences from some of these other guys, $1,500 differences. Here, it's not so much. We like those Yankees bats. We like Ellsbury. We also like Calhoun against Eovaldi and Trace Thompson, all at 3,700. Piscotty as well against Simon. So it's only $400 difference, but I still think that core, obviously Harper right there as well, kind of still – you have a way to kind of pivot off of them, and I kind of like those shots maybe just a little bit more than Trumbo tonight. Yeah, and I might eat my words tomorrow, so who knows?
No, I'm with you for the most part. It's just it's tough to do what he's doing. So to sustain it, I think it's gonna fall off and drop off here at some point soon. In terms of more Cardinals, Matt Holliday right there, Piscotty right there. So there's versatility there. Obviously, you can only have 4 of them in a lineup. So I think you can mix and match a little bit with that too, and feel pretty comfortable with maybe like a contrarian Cardinals stack. Some maybe not necessarily 2 through 5 or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's a good way to be different on still what will be a chalky stack, but you're kind of getting maybe a back end of things, and feel pretty good about that. So I do like Holiday. I like those Miami Marlins bats. I mean, they're all below
Yeah,
3,500.
Stanton.
Nomar are 3,200. Against Doug Fister in that ballpark, it's tough to get away from.
Yeah, he's been a value for a while now, and he hasn't really been bumped up that much. So, I mean, I think you just keep going at it, and he's going to have some really good days. So, I think you just keep going back to it with Mazzara.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And um, you kind of look. I mean, if you want to punt downwards, Kike Hernandez at 2,600 against the lefty there, leading off, going to be a popular play tonight, but a nice price tag. Who, if you want to go stars and scrubs, if you want to throw Peralta, a Kike Hernandez, a cheap catcher, and you can kind of bump up to some of the other options and get a Daniel Murphy and a Carpenter in there.
Yeah, that's a good call. He kind of takes a lot of those lower guys out of play, but if you do go that direction, I think that's a solid move.
Yeah, definitely. And the guy you were talking about as far as the GPP guy, Tyler Nyquin, 2,800.
Hmm.
You weren't really afraid of Walker, but I think price considered here on FanDuel that the Indians price tags are a little bit different, but Nyquin's still kind of that cheap option you could maybe toss in.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in on that. 2,800. Cheap, and again, if you're looking at some Indians, I think he's an interesting way to go in the outfield.
Yeah, definitely. And Stanton, 3K.
I know.
It's Ricky Nolasco. What's going to happen, Russell? What's going to happen?
Oh man. Probably two. Can I guess? 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts and a
Oh,
single.
oh man. Wait,
Yeah.
how's he go 0 for 4 with a single?
I meant a sacrifice with an RBI.
Oh, that's even more painful, man. That's
Yeah.
even more painful. But yeah, I think he's been bad this year. I mean, hitting below 200, 12 homers, obviously a boomer bust threat at this point. I mean, he's been nothing but that this season. Still, a guy, I know you've taken your shots early on. I might take a few
Yeah.
more here this week. Well,
It
all the
it
price
was
tag is like that.
he embellished it even more early on because he was striking out. I mean, he had that streak where he struck out like 14 and 16 at bats. That's around when I started my journey into Giancarlo. So that was enough for me. I mean, baseball is sort of a sport where when the guy's just not seeing it, it's not like they're just gonna break out necessarily. It's like this is something's wrong mechanically. This isn't Stanton like a talent issue right now. So I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely weird.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't like Rizzo at the beginning of the year where he was more unlucky. I mean, a career low
Yeah,
BABIP, the strikeout rate was low. Stanton, it's been completely the opposite. I mean, he's he's just been bad.
he's
And as you mentioned,
striking out.
it
Yeah,
could be a mechanical thing. It could be a psychological thing. Until he gets that
yeah.
fixed, the price tag's going to keep dropping, and I'm probably going to keep tossing in a share or two just because of that price tag. I mean, the
Hey, good
dude's
for you.
the strongest hitter in the world. I mean, it's insane.
No, I know he is. I mean, he's an elite hitter. He's an elite player. So it's weird to see him that low. But again, I'm good for now. You guys, I mean, that 2 home run day is coming, I'm sure, and I'm gonna lose on that slate. But I'm just willing to, I'm willing to roll with it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. Yeah, you're finished with him. I'm still finishing my last couple bites as far as a stand dinner, and you've moved on to dessert. You're on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I'm chilling with Profar at this point. I kind of stepped to the other side of the cafeteria.
Yeah, yeah, a little more consistency in that mac and cheese lunch over
Yeah,
a Stanton sloppy Joe.
yeah, exactly.
That's gonna wrap things up here with the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.